This was a day of completely sublime coast path walking. Absolute top 5 for me, this one. We picked up at this wonderful hill fort on the headland, overlooking some dramatic rugged cliffs, and some up and down followed in short order. Down into Penberth, which was simply magnificent. We met Flavell, a former fisherman, who told us about the shift from crab fishing to lobster, and his delightful and faithful chum, Pebble the dog. Lots of paraphernalia left in this charming little cove. Paraphernalia like a winch, some huts, nets, and just 2 boats operate from here now. A marvellous and magical place. To locate myself here at the top of the Porth Gurnan, I think, steps. Jesus, that was a steep set of steps coming up there. That was really hard work. You can see the zigzag down on the far side of this small valley, and up some serious suckers of steps. That was really, really steep. So gasping a bit at the moment, but now flat and on the top, and let's hope it stays that way for a while. Well, if you've ever seen the film The Wicker Man, this little scene here is giving me Wicker Man vibes. All sorts of crackling and popping going on that fire, dog going mad. Some strange pattern being mown out on the this little field. Apologies, walking fans, for the forthcoming mispronunciations. Fairly rugged bit of path this, walking fans. At a very isolated spot with a glorious house called St. Lo. St. Lo. I was going a bit halfway towards French there, but yeah, this is a pretty amazing place. As I said earlier in my little vlogs, we're on the west side, southernmost part of Mount Bay. Got a long way to get round. We're heading for Penzance. Hopefully get to Lamorna Cove by coffee time, which is yet another cracking Cornish cove. So, steeling myself for the fact we've come all the way down to sea level, more or less, and got to get up that sucker behind us. Well, just coming into here, Lamorna Cove, and it's been a hard one walk. I kind of thought we might get there by 11 o'clock for coffee. It's nearly noon now. Done 6 miles, which is one of our longest first legs of any walk we've done so far, and it's been hard. It's been really hard. A lot of uneven ground again, some serious, not long but steep climbs, and really getting a full SWCP experience. But boy, it's worth it. Just feast your eyes on that. Lamorna, colony of artists here apparently, and I'm one of them. Piss artist. Very taken indeed with Lamorna Cove. We had coffee from a grumpy barista, but the walking was sublime. Beautifully captured in the painting, of course, by Dame Laura Knight. The ruggedness continued for some little way as we walked northwards away from Lamorna Cove, up and around and through the roller coaster path here. I met Julie, an artist, as you would expect on this stretch of coast, and we had a tremendous chat, quite a long one in fact. Anyway, I've just done the walk from Lamorna to, well, more or less to Mousel, and it's quite gnarly, has to be said, quite gnarly. It's only 2.5 miles, but it's quite hard. That's Mousel. Enchanting, eh? Andy and me had a very late lunch in Mousel, and since that first time walking the coastal path through, I've been back with Emma on more than one occasion. It's a place very dear to both of our hearts for all sorts of reasons, not just the rugged coastal beauty, but also the human stories and history that go with the place. And we've been privileged to meet and talk to some of those folk who were involved in the 1981 lifeboat disaster that hit the national news, quite rightly so. Easy walking for Andy and me out of Marazion, and in short time we reached the former lifeboat house for the Penberth lifeboat, Solomon Brown, and we paid our respects there, and it's a place of simple tribute and commemoration and completely apt. Since then I've been privileged to meet Jo Payne, daughter of the landlord of the Ship Inn in the heart of Marazion, who was one of the crew who perished that dreadful night, 19th December 1981. Charlie his name was, and his last words to Jo were along the lines of, "Don't worry love, I've got my fags with me on this shout." Soon we were in New Lynn, and I had a surprise and a disappointment initially. That was absolutely brilliant. Judith Porter, Heritage, lobster hatchery, two lovely folk who work in the containers hatching young lobsters. And it's an absolute disgrace that the tidal observatory is not open, and they all agreed. Well, there was a happy ending. The tidal observatory was opened especially for me in December 2022, and I made a visit with the head of the local historical group, the New Lynn Archive, and to say it was one of the highlights of my life is not an understatement. It was absolutely fantastic. So much so that I'm making an episode 2 all about sea level, New Lynn, the tidal gauge, benchmarks, triangulation pillars, and of course the lovely fish that comes into this wonderful harbour, which I had the delight of eating on the roadside a dressed crab from the marvellously named Trelawney's fish merchants. That was a fantastic moment on the walking of the coast path, and I recommend it to any fellow walker. Andy, on his diet, demurred. We left the marvellous New Lynn behind and made our way to Penzance. The final point of interest being, apart from the fisherman's mission and the lovely scenes in New Lynn itself, a rather nice statue at the end of New Lynn and the beginning of Penzance. I wonder if, like many other Cornish men and women, he voted Brexit. Probably regrets it now. Well, these are the controversial Penzance flagpoles. There's another 6 ahead of me where Andy is heading towards. They were put up by the Labour mayor a few years back. A black woman, which is fantastic. She lived down here for quite a long time and became mayor, and an act of tribute, I suppose, to all the countries with which Britain and Cornwall had strong links. So a lot of European countries. The flags are flown from these lovely flagpoles, and the local racists made a big deal of it and had them ripped down. And there's nothing flying today, which is really sad and reflects a mood that this country has had now for a long time, and encouraged by the bastards who run this country, who should be lined up against a wall. And they encourage the kind of racist, xenophobic view and attitude that leads to flags meant to show brotherhood and sisterhood to people all over the place, are no longer flying. And instead, outside this hotel here in Penzance, you can see it coming up, the Union Jack, a flag I very much like. But I like other flags too, and seeing them all flutter in the wind just says something nice about the togetherness we should all have, not the xenophobic nonsense that's been drilled into too many people and they've readily accepted it. Vile. I hate it. Well, a helicopter's just flown over, and check this out, a proper shunter. I don't see many of those these days, and with the flag of Cornwall, St. Piran's flag. Oh, and the shunter's called St. Piran. Pretty much done it, walking fans. The last few 100 yards, if that, couple of 100 yards, 17 miler, gnarly all the way to Mousehole. Easy after Mousehole, but it was hard graft to Mousehole, which was about 9-10 miles. Now on Marazion beach with the iconic paddle boarders and St. Michael's Mount. Very French, very Normandy, Catholic thing, I think. And the church doing what it normally does with the rulers, taking the best spots, calling it their own, and charging them money for the privilege of going and visiting it. Things have got to change. So that was another fantastic day's walking on the Cornish coast path. I cannot recommend this stretch highly enough. The sheer beauty of it really propelled me towards picking one of my favourite songs, just for its sheer beauty, by J.J. Cale, Magnolia.